Nathan was staying in a hotel for a business trip, and after a long day of meetings, he was exhausted. He decided to take the elevator down to the lobby to grab a drink and unwind. As the elevator descended, it stopped at a floor he didn't recognize. The display above the door blinked for a moment, then showed 13. Nathan frowned. There was no 13th floor in this hotel, or so he thought. Maybe it was an old building with a quirky floor numbering system. The doors opened with a groan, revealing a dimly lit hallway stretching in front of him. He stepped out, unsure of why the elevator had stopped. The air on this floor felt thick, heavy, almost suffocating. The walls were cracked and peeling, and there was an unsettling stillness to the place, as if time had stopped. His phone buzzed in his pocket. It was a message from his colleague back at the office. "Are you okay? We lost signal with you." He glanced around the floor, no signs of life. Just abandoned, crumbling rooms, some with the doors slightly ajar. As he walked down the hall, the sound of his footsteps echoed eerily off the walls. The temperature had dropped significantly, and a strange buzzing sound, like an electrical hum, came from somewhere farther down the corridor. Nathan felt the sudden urge to leave, but when he turned to head back to the elevator, he saw that the doors had closed behind him. He reached for his phone again, but his screen flickered. The last thing he saw before it went black was a distorted face staring back at him from the reflection in the elevator doors. He blinked, and it was gone. Desperately, he turned back to the hallway, but he wasn't alone anymore. A man in a ragged suit, his face obscured by shadows, stood at the far end of the corridor. His head tilted unnaturally, and as he began to move, his limbs twisted in unnatural, jerky motions. He didn't walk, he glided across the floor, his feet barely touching the ground. Nathan backed away, his heart pounding in his chest. But when he tried to run, he found himself unable to move, as though invisible hands were gripping him, holding him in place. The air grew colder, and the buzzing sound became deafening, shaking the walls around him. The man reached Nathan, his face still hidden in shadow. A slow, distorted voice whispered from the depths of his throat, "You shouldn't have come here." Suddenly, Nathan felt the ground beneath him begin to sink, as if the hotel itself was collapsing, pulling him into a bottomless pit. The last thing he heard before everything went black was the sound of the elevator doors opening again, echoing through the endless, dark hallway.